All right, good morning here. I'm working on my buddy Jeff's Skyline R32. This is an '89 Skyline. These were sold in Japan, not sold in the U.S. He got it imported several years ago and had it running, and then did some engine work, had the engine out, and had it flipped upside down and changed out the main bearings and some stuff. And in the interim, some things happened. His trailer got stolen. Crappy deal there. But he's finally working on trying to get it back together. He's got the engine back together and back in it. A lot of new parts in it to replace the stuff that got stolen. Hate dirtbags to do that kind of stuff. But whenever he turns the key on, one of the main fuses pops. And so we got to troubleshoot that today and figure out which fuse is popping and why it's popping. We have to trace down the circuit. So if you aren't familiar with Skylines, they had a the R32s that had the RB26 inline 6-cylinder. It's twin turbocharged. It's got two turbochargers on it. These made, according to the times, 280 horsepower, which was, if you understand what was going on in Japan at the time, they had a gentleman's agreement amongst all the manufacturers that to keep the government off their backs, they wouldn't make high horsepower vehicles. All the top manufacturers, their top cars, only made exactly 280 horsepower. But in the 80s, early 90s, right before the Gran Turismo video game came out, these engines were all producing somewhere north of 300 horsepower, all labeled as 280 horsepower. And the other thing is the Japanese engines at the time were not very peaky. They had a very broad power curve. So anyways, we're getting to this. The main fuse box is here. He's got the battery out on the charger over here. We're going to hook it up. And the way to diagnose this, I had this off a minute ago and I put it back on so I could read We're going to pop these main fuses out here and use the test light to see which one lights up whenever we hook the battery up. So, are we ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it going. Don't hook it up yet. We want to pop those fuses out first.
Okay. This battery was brand new, never used, but it's been sitting for 5 years.
Yeah. Popping the sit roll, that's their superpower. That's weird with that little tiny terminal on the one side.
Yeah, these are
Japanese specific, huh?
exactly.
Okay.
Japanese industrial something. There's another spade terminal wire somewhere. There it is. I don't know where this one is.
Before you look it up, this is not short of ground. So when we get the meter, and we'll check to see if it is connected to ground. And that way we'll know it's safe to hook up.
See that right there? That's a general room. You can do it.
Okay, I don't even have here's where the main fuse is disconnected and I've already got a short. Okay, well that's a good sign. You have a key turned off?
Yep, key's off.
I was expecting you to go to the other side to check the key. Because I forgot. Yeah. Left-hand drive or right-hand drive. Okay, so
what you're saying is when you check the negative, it's showing that there's power there already coming from here or from here.
From there.
All right. So this thing grounds right here.
Correct.
And then grounds again
Well, grounds aren't what concerns me. What concerns me is where's the power getting to this circuit from. All the Nissans have these.
There you go.
Okay, so now, let's see if I have short. Maybe. Okay, so one of those is leaking.
That's it.
It could be both. Check both sides, make sure. And that is not. So our leak is somewhere in this circuit.
Here we go.
Back in the same spot. Still got a leak. So I believe your problem is going to be right here somewhere. I mean, we got everything disconnected from the fuse block. And we know back in the corner. How does this unbolt? Right here. And it's not a bolt. It's not a bolt. Oh yeah, this is a screw in there. Oh no, that is a bolt. Okay, so you got a bolt back here and bolt here. We're going to put that off. So we're going to put that off. This piece out into
Does he not test the wires instead? No, right here.
Well, we have everything on the fuse block, and the power runs from here to this fuse block. If it does, then that's. I'm kind of wondering if maybe it does go somewhere else.
Starter relay, starter solenoid.
So that is separate.
Those that is separate. Meaning it's not, there's no power on it. Which there shouldn't be because it's not connected.
And this is the one that's leaking. So if this disconnected, we should be okay to. And make sure it's not coming in on this one. It's back in. Okay, so if this disconnected, we should be able to put the power back up. Now, let's put our leak here. I'm trying to make sure I have everything straight in my head before I go any further. We need to know where this exactly where this wire goes to.
All right. Which one are you talking about?
Okay.
This white one or this one?
That's this white. What comes up here to this stuff? What troubleshooting is all about, finding out what the problem isn't. Until you let the whole on possibility of what it is. Just really narrow down. Individual circuits makes it a whole lot easier to check. So, this back up. And we still have a leak. Okay, drain. Whatever it was, it has a capacitor that it was charged up. So, I'll connect it first. There's a leak right there. It's just a little plug, so we know this goes too. Okay, so I've talked in a video before about the advantages of using a test light over a multimeter. If you're checking for 12 volts, it's harder to find leaks, shorts in an electrical system. Your battery in your keep alive circuit inside your radio is going to draw 12 volts all the time to keep your settings. And you'll get that reading with a multimeter if you go between the negative post and the ground cable. With a test light, you can see how strong that current draw is. If it's barely glowing this bulb at all, you know it's the keep alive circuit. But if you go to plug this in, and all of a sudden your light brightens, your test light lightens up like that, you know you've got a big current draw. So what we did was we came in here to the main fuse box, we took out all the fuses, and we took out the relays, and that did not fix the problem. We still had a big current draw. Well, I looked, and the two wires here, if you didn't see on the video, there's two connectors here on your positive terminal in addition to the main power wire, and these feed your accessory circuits. This one here, when we disconnected it, the light went out, so we knew it was on this circuit. This comes into this loom and it comes up here, and when we take this loose, that turns off the test light, and whatever it is storing some electricity, because it took a couple seconds for the light to die out after we disconnected that. But we've got to narrow it down to that. I can go and put these fuses and stuff back in the fuse box here. We've got to chase this down into the harness and figure out where it goes.
It looks like it's coming down and connecting to the back of the alternator.
Okay, so it may be an alternator problem. And the problem went away.
Okay.
So it's internally shorted.
Okay. And that makes sense because the guy I got the car from said he was in a wreck.
Okay. So
he couldn't guarantee any of the parts. But he gave me the total of 3 alternators. So there's 2 more here.
Okay. And then the 2 wires, and actually I have all 3 connections on the alternator undone. You can see everything's plugged back in, and no light. Okay. So we can put the fuses back in even. And you can turn the dashboard lights on. You can turn the key on, and it should be the power stand close to.
Did you take that loop, that eyelet off down there?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah, still.
Well, there's 2 eyelets down there. There's one that goes on a bolt and one that goes on a stud. The main power wire going to the alternator should be okay. As a matter of fact, I probably took it back up to see for sure. But the case ground is one that was causing the problem. I put it back on the stud. you don't get a light. So the main power wire is okay.
So what is that other one in the regulator wire or
Basement, I think.
well that would mean that there's power somewhere shorted inside that alternator to that case. So
The case is supposed to be grounded.
the alternator's bad. We got to come out. Okay.
So, but there we go. So I don't know how it comes out.
Yeah,
It does not look like fun.
it's not.
It looks like if you take this off,
Yeah.
it comes out through here, I guess.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't.
It can.
Or do we pull the radiator thing?
Survey call. I don't want a survey call.
If you're not familiar with Japanese cars, especially the older 90s cars, they used 8mm, 10mm, 12mm, 14, 17, and 19. They didn't use the in-between sizes. They stuck with those standard sizes. Made it real easy to wrench on these. You could usually look and tell what size the bolt is. As a technician, it was handy. I think we've gotten away from that now. All right, so on these older Japanese cars, you can see this on the adjust. You can see an adjuster here on the alternator bracket. You have to loosen that bolt, and then you can loosen the long bolt that will move the alternator in or out for getting the belt off. The older Nissans like this had a multi-belt system. You can see there's 3 drive belts here. They are ribbed belts. Yeah, they're ribbed belts, but there's 3 separate ones. They didn't use a single one like everybody got smart and started doing. Nissan has since gone to the single belt, I believe, but this one still has the multiple belts, and you've got to unlock the tensioner and then move it in to get the belt off. Whenever I was a Nissan technician, that was one of our biggest time drains, was if you had to take the belts off the engine and put them back on, you were going to spend a half an hour, because you had to do all 3 belts, and each one had 2 bolts to manipulate to get the part to move in or out. All right, here's a good view of what you're up against. You can see this bolt here controls where this is on the alternator, or where the alternator is on the bracket, and then it locks down with this bolt. So if you're just taking the V belt off, you've got to loosen this so that you can slide this in towards the engine a little bit and get the V belt off. But we're replacing the alternator, so you got to pull this one all the way out. So, and if you have the tension on the belts, you don't want to take that bolt out straight away. You want to loosen the tension first, then take this bolt out. Otherwise, you can strip the aluminum threads in here. So, you can see you get your power stud here, and here's the ground. This is where we have a problem on the alternator that's on the car. This ground, if it's leaking straight from the power circuit to the ground inside the alternator. That alternator was in an accident, and apparently it got wanged. The owner of the alternator couldn't assure Jeff that it was good, and we discovered it's bad. So this is the alternator. I guess this is the alternator we're going to put in, but I'm going to get that belt off first and take that bolt out. We should be able to get it out of there, I think. This thing's all tight spaces. Can you take that off?
Yes. I need 2 Allen wrenches to take that off, and that's a pain to get off those 2.
And put Allen wrenches on that.
I do. I like the way they look.
Yeah, I get it. I can't wear my hair in a mohawk and complain about somebody else's sense of style.
Well, I kind of am understanding that in the race car world, function over form is much more important.
Yes.
In the everyday, daily driver thing, I kind of like it to look nice.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
But
The pulley's in the way.
so that you get the bolt out,
Yeah.
and that's a fan pulley with the 4 little bolts on it. That
Here's another option. Take the other bolt out.
pulley's going to be in the way of that one too.
Maybe. Nothing else that gives us room to move that back.
Maybe lift it up.
Yep. I'm not looking to fully remove the alternator bracket if I don't have to. I just need it out of the way. And that's got it. I think. Boom.
All right.
We're out. Alright. So, let me grab this in my hand the same way.
Look at them and make sure they're the same.
The connections are the same. The plugs are the same.
The 9 points are the same.
Yep. I mean, it looks identical.
They look identical.
Yep. The back of the case is different.
Significantly.
The plug is angled slightly differently, but it'll still work. Yeah, this will work. It'll bolt in place. I got myself a water wound already.
What happened?
I just picked my finger. Bleeding ever so slightly. I'm going to file an LOD. Let's see if I can do anything that's worked. Do you keep trophies out here? Or?
Yeah, there should be some in the top of the toolbox.
I see one right there on the tailgate. Here we go. Bad internal short. Mark your bad parts. Okay, so for all you viewers out there, that tensioner I showed you, you want to tighten up the belt just slightly loose, because when you tighten that tensioner, it's going to put an extra cinch on it. I do a little tiny bit wonder if the wires are back. There's a bundle of white wires and then a single black wire. The single black wire should be your ground. That should be your base ground, but then again, what if that wasn't? That could be a problem too.
We'll find out if we... So if the ground was wrong on the alternator and you put power up to it,
You basically hook it straight to the battery.
would that have blown the alternator and now that's the reason I know the alternator is bad?
The other alternator may not be bad, it's hooked up to battery.
Okay. So if we blow a fuse again, we need to think about swapping wires.
Well, I've got the case ground hooked up, so I'm going to get the battery. I'm going to hook up the positive side and use my test light on the negative side, see if we got rid of the short. Positive terminal is hooked up. And we still have a dead short. Looks like, oh, no. We are good.
I've got to say, Alright. So we have a good alternator now.
I think.
Short.
It glowed real bright at first and then dimmed right out like it did with the previous hookup.
Alright, so what are you thinking? Got a capacitor somewhere in there that...
I think there's capacitor somewhere else in the vehicle. Because if I take that terminal loose, you won't have any light. Oh, yeah, okay, so there's something else in the car that's charging it up because I just got a light again with that taken loose. So we should be good to go. We don't have a dead short now. So the alternator is bad. It basically verified that. If I let you hook it up and it blows, it's not my fault, right?
Right. So we have partial culpability in that case.
Right. There's some other problem on the car. We just got to troubleshoot further. You apparently had multiple problems. That's because we can always tell you when they don't diagnose the car right. And sometimes they're right, but moment of truth. Get positive on there first. Yeah. No poppy poppy.
No poppy poppy.
All right. And we don't know where the key is.
What do we do with the keys? Right here. I got a clock. I got a radio. I got fuel pump. Got that. Got light. All right. See any fuel leak? Of course, that's probably bad fuel.
I don't see any fuel leaks, no. I'm not getting power or ground on that wire, so whatever it's wired to is not going to do anything at the moment. It's something that's got to be turned on.
So maybe that's ground for the coils. Well, it's coming in here.
Yeah, that leads me to believe it's an accessory.
It's what?
An accessory. Do you have an amp?
No.
I don't know what it is. We can take it off for now until you figure out what it's missing. If we take it off, that way you can save. All right. So we've got a straight wire here. Not sure what it goes to. Not sure if it's power or if it's ground, but it was hooked up to battery at some point. Because we can't tell what it is, we're going to take it off. We'll turn the ignition on. It didn't do anything. I couldn't get power or ground on it. So the safe thing to do is just wrap the electrical tape until we figure out what's not coming on. Well, he gave the honest truth. He says, I don't know if it's good or bad. So he didn't lie to you. And hopefully you paid accordingly with, it may be a bad alternator. Yeah. And it should be a good core. You can take it, Cherry's still, I don't know if Cherry's still in business or in Bell City. You can take it in and maybe rebuild it. All right, so on all these old Nissans, you have a return style fuel system. Your pressure comes up through here to your fuel pressure regulator. Comes up through here to your rail, and your fuel pressure regulator's on the end. The pump, if you take off the fuel pressure regulator and run it dead, just without the regulator, your pump usually produces about 40 psi. You have a little vacuum hose here that will help pull vacuum off of the regulator. It'll drop down about 36, I think, is what we normally saw. Your fuel system runs between 36 and 40 psi, from my memory. It's been 25 years. But yeah, your pressure comes in here, and then it returns after the regulator there, and that's how you develop your fuel pressure. So your regulator is going to be at the end of the fuel rail right before the return. That's how you remember that. It's what blocks off the fuel and keeps it in there to make that pressure, and then it lets some of it go back to the fuel tank. So what we're looking at right now is this wire that we taped off. It comes through the firewall back here and then goes back under the carpet to the back of the car. And Jeff doesn't remember there being an amplifier anywhere in here, but we're going to check in the trunk and see if there's a sub and an amp. If so, that explains mystery wire, and we could hook it back up. So it should be, the fact that it comes all the way back from through the firewall up to here tells me it should be a power wire, not a ground. Normally you want to drop a ground immediately to the chassis wherever you're at. So if you have a component up here that's getting power, you don't want to have to run a wire all the way to the battery. You just run it to the car body. The car body is your ground. All right, mystery solved. We've got a powered subwoofer back here. That's where that power wire is more than likely going. So, all right, we should be safe to hook it up. So you can see the intercooler comes in from here, or goes out from here. It comes in from this side, from the air box, goes across and up through here, and this is the hose we had to take out to get to the alternator. It goes right onto the intake there. So the hot thing to do on these is to get rid of the twin turbo setup and go to a single turbo. Jeff still got the twin turbo on this one. Back in the day, we didn't have ball bearing turbos. You had a bronze bushing in there inside the turbo, and so there was a little more friction in there and took the turbos a little bit longer to spool up, took a little more air pressure to get them going. So that's why twin turbos were popular back in the 80s and 90s. Now, in the 90s, 2000s, they started coming out with ball bearing turbos. They became cheaper, and because of that, a ball bearing turbo will spool up with a lot less air pressure behind it. It'll spool up a lot quicker. You don't have the turbo lag that you used to get with putting a big turbo on an engine like this. And so the twin turbos have gone out of style, because why bother with two turbos? I have a book at home. Trying to remember the guy's name, but it's a book on turbocharging, and he talks about why twin turbos won't produce as much boost as a single larger turbo. And if you know math and you know circumference, you know that when you go up, if you have two 2-inch pipes, you go up to 3-inch pipes on them, you don't get as much surface area increases if you have a single 3-inch pipe and you go up to 4 inches. The math may be a little fuzzy there, but your circumference going up gives you a lot bigger increase. You got to remember pi is 3.14, so it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's a 3.14 to 1 ratio. So going with a single turbo and going up larger will produce boost faster than twin turbos, twin smaller turbos, and so that's why you see less twin turbos now, and why everybody's going to a single turbo. So we almost got the intake back on here. We're gonna try and drain the old fuel out and get some fresh fuel in here, and hopefully prelude the engine and see if we can get fired up. That'd be pretty cool to get some RB26 engine running content on here today. But I'm not all about the content. I'm all about teaching you.